Hey guys, today we're going to talk about operant conditioning. Maybe you saw the video on classical conditioning and you thought it was worth tuning back in for a little more, so welcome back. Operant conditioning is different from classical conditioning in a very important way. First, they're both types of behaviorism. Oh god, you hear that annoying beeping sound? Oh geez, I better put on my seatbelt to get rid of that annoying beeping sound. Whew. Thank goodness I got rid of that annoying beeping sign by putting on my seatbelt. Time out, that was a reenactment. Did you catch that? Do you know what concept that was? Annoying sound, I got rid of it by increasing a behavior. That's right, negative reinforcement. Every time you get in your car and you got that beeping sound and you put on your seatbelt, you're more likely to put on your seatbelt to get rid of the sound. That's negative reinforcement. We're going to talk about that today as part of our operant conditioning video, but I just wanted to give you a demo. Okay, so operant and classical conditioning, both types of, turn that off now, both types of learning or behaviorism, right? Learning or behaviorism, the idea that psychology is only the study of observable behavior. Okay, so operant conditioning is different from classical conditioning because it focuses on the consequences of your behavior, so what follows your behavior and how that affects whether you do anything again. So if a reinforcer follows your behavior, you're more likely to do a behavior again. If a punishment follows your behavior, you're less likely to do a behavior again. So punishment's easy. We all know what punishment is. Our parents punish us by taking away our cell phone for the day or for the night. And then we're less likely to do whatever we did that made our parents angry. So that's one type of punishment. Punishment doesn't have to be like an official punishment where someone intentionally punishes you. It could just be anything that decreases your behavior. So if you touch a hot stove and it burns you, less likely to touch a stove again, that's a punishment. You tell a joke, nobody laughs, you're less likely to tell that joke again, so the not laughing was a punishment. So that's easy. People get confused with reinforcement. So reinforcers always increase your behavior, but there's two types. There's positive and there's negative. So positive reinforcement is when you add a pleasant stimuli. So you add something you like. It's like a reward. It's exactly like a reward. So you get rewarded and your behavior increases. You're more likely to do that thing again. Like telling a joke and people laugh, you're more likely to tell that joke again. Negative reinforcement, though, is a little bit tricky, and negative reinforcement subtracts an aversive stimuli or an annoying stimuli, something that's harmful, annoying, that's aversive. And when you subtract that thing, the behavior goes up. So that was like the car example. Driving the car, you get in the seatbelt, the annoying stimuli, subtract the annoying stimuli, more likely to wear your seatbelt. Okay, so people get confused between punishment and negative reinforcement, and the key difference is that punishment decreases the behavior it follows, negative reinforcement increases the behavior it follows. Okay, that's a confusing thing. So maybe if you don't understand my example, read that a little bit in the book. What else? Okay, so who's the big guru in operant conditioning? Who's the main man? Well, for classical conditioning, it was Pavlov and Watson. For operant conditioning, it's Skinner. Okay, so Skinner did all kinds of research on reinforcement. And he used something called a Skinner box, which was a small box that he would keep like a pigeon in or maybe a rat. And he would reinforce them for doing tasks, and he would try to shape their behavior. So shaping is gradually molding behavior using positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, or punishment. So for instance, he would have pigeons, he would teach them to turn a circle. If they turned a little to the left, he'd give them a pellet of food. A little more to the left, he'd give them another pellet of food. A little more to the left, another pellet. Finally, turn it all the way around, another pellet. So it's gradually shaping the behavior. So in class, We did the activity with the signs that said boo on one side and yay on the other, and we shaped people's behavior. We got them to walk different places in the room and do different things by gradually reinforcing them. So that's shaping. Skinner also did some work on schedules of reinforcement. So this was about when you get reinforced, how often, and what sort of behavior do you need to do. And he came up with 4 schedules of reinforcement. So the first one was a fixed ratio, which is that you get reinforced after a specified number of responses. And then there's a variable ratio, which is that you get reinforced after a varied number of responses. So fixed ratio would be like a farm worker picks 3 boxes of blueberries, they get $1. Picks 3 boxes, get $1. So it's a fixed ratio. They have to do a certain number of things a certain number of times, and they always get it on the 3rd time. The variable ratio is like playing a slot machine. You pull it, you win on the 7th time. You pull it a bunch more, you win it on the 53rd time. You pull it a bunch more, you win it on the 17th time. So it varies, and you have to do a certain number of things, and it varies how many things. Okay, so that's fixed ratio, variable ratio. There's also a fixed interval and a variable interval. So with a fixed interval ratio, you have to have a specified time period has to pass, and for a variable interval, a varied time period has to pass. So a variable interval, a great example of this is when you send a text to a friend and you're waiting for a reply. You have to wait for a period of time, and that period of time varies. So you're going to be reinforced on a variable interval ratio. So you could look at your phone over and over again. Doesn't matter how many times you look. That doesn't speed it up at all. It's just it's a period of time, and it's a variable period of time. So that's a variable interval. Okay, there you go. That's it for operant conditioning today. If you have any questions, see me in class. And I hope you enjoyed that. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hi there. I just remembered a couple things I wanted to add about the schedules of reinforcement. So a question often comes up, which schedules of reinforcement get the highest rates of response? So in this case, both types of ratios, the fixed ratio and the variable ratio, get higher rates of response than the intervals. And that's because with the ratio, you have to do something. The blueberry picker has to pick blueberries. The slot machine player has to pull the slot machine. Since you have to do something, this ratio of things, you do more of it because you have to do that thing to get reinforced. Versus the intervals, you don't do anything, you're just waiting for a period of time. So reinforced responses tend to be slower there. Now, between the two, fixed ratio and variable ratio, a fixed ratio is slightly higher. And that's because the respondent knows, oh, every 3rd box of blueberries I'm going to be reinforced. Or if it's a rat hitting a lever, every 10th time he hits the lever, he knows he's going to be reinforced. So he's more likely to do it faster. One thing about the variable interval ratio, though, is that it's very hard to extinguish the behavior. So here's some examples. The slot machines, people get addicted. Golf, you're reinforced on a variable ratio. Fishermen are reinforced on a variable ratio. So you never know when you're going to get a good shot in golf. You never know when you're going to catch a fish. So you're out there and you're just trying. And since anyone could be the next big fish, or could be the hole-in-one, or could be the jackpot, it's hard to extinguish that behavior. So that's an interesting characteristic of a variable ratio. Okay, thanks for the addition. That's all again. Bye-bye.